Welcome to Soul Talk with Nancy Roland Weber. And obviously, that's me. Hi. I've been thinking of sharing a past life regression story and how I got started in that and what I discovered for me. We all discover. So if you've ever done them or thought about it, interesting, right? Okay. Well, in 1969, February, I was married to Gil Preston, who's now deceased a few years. I divorced him shortly after. We were as soon as I could. I was 5 months pregnant when he attempted to murder me. It's the opening statement in my book, The Life of a Psychic Detective, and it's one of the reasons I became eager when the police asked me to help, because I never received justice on that one. Not because it doesn't matter. Lived in Old San Juan, and he was military. He was a physician, lieutenant in the Navy, and nobody would hear it. Okay, done. Broke open. That was a good thing. Plus, I got to do with past lives. So when I came back, and many things happened, and I went into primal therapy and Rolfing and a lot of things that you may or may not know of. Back in the 70s, and in 1976 or 7, I met a wonderful woman, Betty Rice, from Woodstock, New York, who opened doors for me to do workshops there, and a lovely human being and a retired teacher and always interested in exploration. And so she went and took a workshop on past life regression therapy. And she called me on her way home and said, I'd like to stop by. Okay. So she stops by. I lived in Peekskill, New York at the time, and my kids were in school during the day. And she comes in, she said, I want to do a regression therapy on you. And I go, okay, that sounds interesting. Lay down. And she starts and gets me relaxed and starts guiding me. Don't ask, I don't remember the words. We just follow along. The next thing I know, I see an image, like a film, of me as a 17-year-old gypsy in Romania in a circus, walking my best friend, a dwarf, to her tent and to say goodnight. And I'm thinking, this is kind of crazy. Okay, go with it, play. Fantasy. And I walk out of the tent, and the lion tamer comes over to me and throws his palm in my face and wants me to tell him things. And then I know my mother taught me how to read cards there in that story. And I didn't want to read him. I didn't like him. And he ends up raping me and strangling me. So I get up from the regression, and I'm very surprised that I feel very strongly. And Betty asks some questions, and I realized when I was a kid, I told my parents that you stole me from the gypsies. I thought everybody thought that if you're not happy. You were stolen, you were, if you weren't adopted or orphaned, and you knew that, you made it up in order not to. That was my thinking, that we make up these things. And I loved gypsy clothing, music, everything. But that was normal. So I passed it off. I didn't think much of it. I just connected it and thought, well, maybe that's why I was imagining all this. That fit the picture of my childhood fantasy. Okay. I don't know, maybe a year goes by or so. And one of my friends is a fabulous artist. You can look her up, Susan O'Brant. She went from being an incredible artist at 21, won the record cover album of the year raw painting of Eric Satie. Oh my God, she's an amazing human being. Now she does crocheting elegant dresses and clothing. Crazy, good stuff. And a good friend, and we kept in touch after I moved for years. Anyhow, she walks in Peekskill, New York, a small home, small living room, and I had just put out all the Polaroids. If you don't know what that is, look it up, of my family so I can put things together and organize. I like organizing. So Susan comes in, sits down, and she goes, oh! And I go, what? And she picks up one Polaroid out of about 40 or 50 on the table. And in it is a group of people, about 18 people, I think, tiny Polaroid, tiny faces. And my daughter's 4th birthday party. So she's like, Susan didn't know me then. I didn't know her then. Right? She points to one face, my first husband. And I said, what? She said, that man, he was a lion tamer. I see him in an image of a lion tamer killing a young gypsy woman. I didn't know what to do. I just went, what? That's Gil, my first husband, who tried to strangle me in this life. What do you think? You ever have that kind of connecting links and go, well, I don't know if it's real. I'm not sure. Don't know. Okay. And I'm telling you, I don't know as I sit here now. Many years go by, right? And I move, I'm in Bud Lake, New Jersey in 79. Then in 89, I married Dick Weber, and I am living with him 20 minutes from Bud Lake, which is northwestern New Jersey. I move east 20 minutes, and this is our home, my office. Anyhow, there's a store called Audrey's Inner Vision that used to be here. And I loved it. I used to hang out there, and Audrey was very holistic, homeopath trained, beautiful human being. And one day I'm there and I see new watercolor cards that are gorgeous with calligraphy of spiritual statements on it. And I go, I love these. I'm so drawn to them. I have to have. And she said, oh, why don't you turn the card over? It's Julie Bond. She lives in the next town. And there's her phone number. Go call her. So I did. And I called Julie and she said, Nancy Weber, you're the one who teaches on Thursday night meditation and spiritual development. And I said, yeah. She said, can I come? I said, providing one thing. She said, what? I said, you have to bring a box of your cards because I want to buy them. In walks a dwarf. Became close friends. Immediately understood each other. She ends up marrying a guy she meets in my home. We ran a nonprofit and holistic festivals and education at the time. And one of my friends, Bill Genovese, was a volunteer for it. We put them together. They got married. They have 2 kids. Okay. So we've always stayed in touch. We're friends, etc. Interesting connection, but lots of people have friends who are different sizes, everything, right? But still, the dwarf. And we're connected. We felt the connection, strong. Okay, we feel strong connections with a lot of people. But understanding them is a little different. And I really felt we understood each other in a very unique way. There's more. The final connection was because when I was injured by Gil, I had previously been injured at age 19, working in a hospital. A 300-pound patient flung herself on me and crushed another disc. And doesn't matter, but that part of history does matter to me, but it doesn't matter to the story at all. However, I was left with a lot of disability. And the creators of looking within a little deeper, 3-dimensionally, are people I knew because Gil was in neurosurgery, etc., neurology, working under the chief at Albert Einstein, then Jackson Memorial, and calls me and said, come on in, we've got a new machine, we want you to, because he knew what happened. And so they looked and they told me I had an unstable spine and I'd be in a wheelchair permanently, maybe, but they could remove the base. They were first beginning regenerative, reconstruction of a spine. And I said, no, thank you. I'm not a guinea pig. I walked away. Okay. That's just the backstory of, I didn't know because I didn't understand what they were saying about why my spine was so unstable. I understood I no longer had discs on the left side of the lumbar in some parts, and that I was congenitally born with missing disc, with bone spurs, with spinal stenosis, but they didn't say the reason for that. I figured, deficiencies, World War II, diet, mother, stress, that kind of thing. Had an MRI. Congenitally short pedicles, common, mostly found in dwarfs. That means that even though I was 5'7" 3/4", I'm now shorter, I'm much older. However, the short pedicles means the stability of a spine. They're little pieces on each end of the vertebra, and they're supposed to help movement. But if they're too short, instead of the right size, total instability, because they're not able to keep the vertebra intact where they're supposed to be. And I was born with it, which means I have ancestors who were dwarfs. I have a genetic predisposition in utero. So you tell me whether the past life regression was true or not. I think it told the story in some way. And so I've always felt that regression therapy can tell us about past lives. It can also distance us from being so close emotionally to issues within us that we're so uncomfortable to look at. And if we couch it in other terms, we'll get the same results that we would get if we were very detached and looked at it now in present. So we put it in the past. However, along the way, I read a book, 20 Cases Suggestive of Reincarnation by Dr. Ian, I-A-N, Stevenson. And if you know the book or know of it, amazing stories. If you don't, you may want to take a look. There are many books, Brian Weiss and many others, on reincarnation, past lives. Ruth Montgomery, I think Many Mansions was the name, Edgar Cayce. I never read those until after I started working a lot. I didn't want any influence from the outside. I wanted me to dig up everything I've got and make it up as I go along and see what I get. And it worked so far. So that's my story on past life regression of that one. It made me stop. It made me consider. It made me recognize there's so much more to all of us. Right? And so there are so many other things to consider about that. The questions, karma, cause and effect. Right? I'd love for you to consider your own inclinations towards why you like certain things. Does it have anything to do with your ancestral history, your genetics? Does it have anything to do with past lives? They may not be the same as ancestral history. They may not come from the same lineage. There's so much to consider and so much fun in it, because it's also the difference for me between holistic and Western medicine. Western medicine, like a hospital, which I was a patient more than 3 dozen times, besides being a nurse. Crazy. But it's colder. They attempt some places to have a piano, which is wonderful, to have meditation, music, and guidance on TV channel. Some of them have wonderful things, but it's still pretty cold, except for some of the people who work there are fantastic. Granted, but it reminds you got a problem. Holistic doesn't do that necessarily. It reminds you you're connected to everything and everything matters. And you can either take it lovingly or you can take it hard, your choice. And so it was the same thing on everything I entered into past life regression. I keep an open mind. I am a skeptic about everything. I am a skeptic about being psychic. That's why I look for proof wherever I can. That's why I write in a journal. So I leave you with this. If you want to know when you're intuitive, when your imagination, write it all down and wait and see if you can get proof. Sometimes it takes years, sometimes it takes minutes. And sometimes you've got great past lives that can help bring up the wonder in you. You never know. So I'd love for you to subscribe if you would. That would be wonderful. And if you haven't read The Life of a Psychic Detective, it's on Amazon in the US and a few other places, countries. And the ebook is anywhere, obviously. And the other book is all about animal communication, and I'll be talking about that shortly. I wish you a peaceful sleep at night and a sweet morning, or whenever you get up. Night workers, right? Have a great day, and thank you for watching. I really appreciate you.